World War II was one of the deadliest conflicts in human history, with millions of lives lost and countless stories of heroism, sacrifice, and tragedy. But there are also many lesser-known facts about the war that might surprise you. Today, we'll be counting down the top 10 little-known facts about World War II. Number 10. The United States almost used bats as bombs. During World War II, the US military explored the possibility of using bats as weapons. The idea was to strap small incendiary devices to bats and release them over Japanese cities at night. The bats would then roost in buildings and ignite the devices, causing widespread fires. The plan was ultimately abandoned, but not before the military spent millions of dollars on it. Number 9. German U-boats sank more ships in American waters than in the Atlantic. While the Battle of the Atlantic is well known, many people don't realize that German U-boats also operated off the coast of the United States. In fact, they sank more ships in American waters than they did in the Atlantic. Number 8. The Soviet Union had a secret weapon: dogs. The Soviet Union trained dogs to carry explosives to German tanks, with the intention of blowing them up. The dogs were supposed to be able to recognize the smell of German tanks and crawl under them to detonate the explosives. However, the plan backfired, as the dogs ended up being more likely to run towards Soviet tanks instead. Number 7. Winston Churchill was a prolific painter. In addition to being a renowned statesman and writer, Winston Churchill was also an accomplished painter. He took up painting in his 40s and continued throughout his life, creating hundreds of works. Some of his paintings are still on display in museums today. Number 6. The Nazis tried to use the occult to win the war. The Nazis were interested in the occult and believed in the power of magic. They employed a group of occultists called the Ahnenerbe to search for artifacts and relics that they believed would help them win the war. However, their efforts were ultimately unsuccessful. Number 5. Japan sent bombs across the Pacific Ocean to the United States. In 1944, Japan launched a series of unmanned balloons, or Fugo, across the Pacific Ocean to the United States. The balloons were meant to start forest fires and create panic among Americans. Although they were largely unsuccessful, one balloon did manage to kill 6 people in Oregon. Number 4. The United States almost nuked itself by accident. During a routine training exercise in 1961, a B-52 bomber carrying 2 nuclear bombs crashed in North Carolina. One of the bombs broke apart on impact, but the other remained intact and was only a few switches away from detonating. It was only through the quick thinking of the crew that disaster was averted. Number 3. Women played a key role in the war effort. While men made up the majority of soldiers, women played an important role in the war effort on the home front. They worked in factories, offices, and hospitals, and took on jobs that had previously been considered men's work. Their contributions were vital to the war effort and helped pave the way for greater gender equality. Number 2. The United States used propaganda to convince Japanese soldiers to surrender. In 1944, the United States began dropping leaflets on Japanese soldiers in the Pacific, urging them to surrender. The leaflets included images of Japanese soldiers who had surrendered, along with messages that emphasized the futility of continuing the war. The propaganda campaign was successful in convincing thousands of Japanese soldiers to surrender. Number 1. The war may have indirectly led to the creation of the Internet. One of the most surprising little-known facts about World War II is that it may have indirectly led to the creation of the Internet. During the war, the US military was looking for a way to share information quickly and securely across different locations. This led to the development of early computer networks, which eventually evolved into the Internet we know today. And there you have it, the top 10 little-known facts about World War II. While many of these stories are lesser known, they all serve to highlight the complexity and significance of one of the most defining events of the 20th century. Thanks for watching.